What would a game feel like if it was 100% designed by gamers? This video will answer that question. Skyshard was built by ixxdeee and Regis Kilbin, both gamers and YouTubers. They were tired of games focusing on monetization first instead of good gameplay.
What inspired you to make Krusty Crush 2?
Money!
Skyshard is an auto-battler that tests your creativity. Instead of buying minions, you make a city that has defenses, big weapons, and support units. Their unique shops make it virtually impossible to force meta builds. They've also removed the leveling system most auto-battlers have, so you can buy the highest tier units on turn 1.
Wait, that's illegal.
The higher tiered unit, the more gold they cost, so this feels very balanced. Only now you can dive right into the fun without having to wait 7 turns. One of the best parts is that Skyshard is asynchronous. This means there is no queue and no turn timer. If you need to step away in the middle of your turn, that's no problem. You still fight other players, not bots. The game simply remembers other players' boards and matches you with someone that is on the same turn as you. That way you get all the skill testing and fun from a normal ranked system without having to sit down for 40 minutes in a row to finish a match. On top of that, there is zero pay to win in Skyshard. The free demo has basically the complete game in it already. All the devs ask is that you take 2 seconds to wishlist the game on Steam. Later this year, there will be a huge content drop for the official release of the game. In this video, you're going to see me play a run of Skyshard myself. It was super fun. I really felt that I had to be creative. I could not force a specific strategy because of their unique shop system. We built a really fun comp that revolves around a big ass tree that we give a lot of health, and the more health the tree has, the more damage it deals, and then we give it something so it now double triggers, and then we put a lot of defenses to buy time for the tree, and then we have something that respawns units, and we build mines, and the mines explode, and their whole board goes boom, and there's just so much going on. And every turn it really felt like I had to make the most out of my shops, the true auto battler experience. So please, as always, enjoy the video. Hey everyone, instead of just watching the run that I played, I decided I would talk you guys through everything, explaining what's going on, giving you my insight of what I was thinking at the time. That should make it a lot more fun and easy to watch. Let's dive in. So first thing, we take our hero. This is not a huge pick, and then we also take our quest. These are very minor things that the devs have intended to just warp your gameplay a little bit, but definitely don't force anything. Our particular quest gives us 1 extra mana, which is how we buy stuff per turn for the first 3 turns, and then it's just done. So we start off by buying a weapon here. It's a trebuchet. That trebuchet is, instead of going to attack, instead of attacking the front line first, it attacks town units, which oftentimes are like quite nice to kill them first, because your opponent's going to put big stuff in the front for you to kill, and then you bypass that and kill their other stuff. We've also picked up a dig site, which produces a mine per turn, which is why you see this little dot thingy over there. Now, this particular red little guy that is beneath my trebuchet, you're going to want to pay attention to that one, because that is a very interesting design. You'll see that it's actually shooting my own stuff, but the upside of it is that it also makes whatever is above it double trigger. And Skyshard is all about just putting a lot of buffs on one weapon and then making that really big. So then being able to double trigger that is a huge plus. So the fact that it's attacking our own stuff is okay, because we have this dig site. So you see that when the dig site dies, it spawns mines. And when the mines die, they also do something good. So the fact that the Scarlet Leech, which is a little red thing, is attacking our own stuff is totally fine. So we're just picking up some extra stuff here. This brick, this little blue brick, that is just a wall that we put in the front so that our opponent's weapons are attacking that instead. The little statue guy, the dandelion, when the start of combat, you'll see that it's going to spawn trees on the board. So 4 trees appeared, and when it dies, it spawns another 4. So there you go. So that just helps with tanking, because the opponent attacks the trees first before they then attack the weapon. So we are going to lose this one. So you see that our health at the top left dropped to 170. So we start with 200. So we can still lose a few more. But this is the big moment in the run where I find this tree. So I talked about this in the intro. Now we're like, oh, let's double trigger the tree. The idea is that the tree deals damage based on how much health it has. You can't buff its damage any other way. So that is what we were going to be looking out for, like how do we increase the health? And here, oh, well, that emerald gives you 30 extra health, so that's an easy one. I'm just going to put that next to my tree. But here I start to experiment with the idea of, oh, what if I put the small trees around the big tree? Because when the small trees take damage, they give 5 health to everything around it. And now that I have the Scarlet Leech, I'm thinking, oh, I can use the Scarlet Leech to damage the trees to buff the big tree. And not only do I then solve the problem of, oh, what do I do with the Scarlet Leech attacking my own stuff? I also solve the problem of how do I buff the tree's health. This is another huge pickup, by the way. So here I get the Altar of Decima, and this particular unit, it will let things that are adjacent to it respawn once when they die. And then we have this huge synergy because we can kill our own stuff fast with the Scarlet Leech. Also notice that we have an inventory in the bottom left. That is essentially stuff that gets generated. So I have 1 or 2 production buildings. And I also have a building that makes enchantments. So that little angel sword thing that I just put on the altar, that has the effect that when that unit dies, it gets revived on 10% health. And if it's a magic unit, it gets revived twice. Or maybe it's an ancient unit. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, that's pretty fun. That's a little purple building that is generating those enchantments at the start of, I guess at the start of every turn. So you see now that we place the altar and we put the trees around it so that when the trees die, they respawn. You can see that, that tree respawn once, and also the mines. So these are just very small buildings. We can put a lot of them next to the altar, or around it rather, and you're getting a lot of value, repeat value off it. So when these mines die, they deal damage to the enemy board. When the trees die, they buff my big tree. So you can see here in the damage recap that our forest spirit, which is our big tree, is dealing by far the most damage, which is fantastic. So our inventory is getting quite full. That's because we have quite some generation. We are generating these nature units with the arborist, I believe. We are generating the mines. We're generating the enchantments. We just picked up one of those big mushrooms. That one has the effect, whenever it takes damage, 25% of the damage taken gets added as health to the units around it, so adjacent units, which is obviously very synergistic because we have our big tree. And here I get another one, so I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to do that. So here I put the mushrooms next to the altar, so when they die, they respawn. But later on, I'm going to realize, they actually don't have that much respawn value because they're based off the damage they take, and they're only going to respawn with 10% health anyway. So the respawning is great for units that don't have a lot of health anyway, because it doesn't really matter. But for something like the mushroom, which is going to depend on the amount of damage it takes, it's probably better that we resurrect other stuff. So I'm going to move those mushrooms later on. Here we fight someone else who also has this tree. We're currently on round 7 out of 16, by the way. So you can see that top left. If you make it to 16, you win the run. So essentially you have 200 health, and based on the amount of stuff that is still alive on the opponent's board, you take damage. So it's pretty much like Battlegrounds, where if they have a lot of minions left, they're going to deal a lot of damage to you. Same thing here. So based on how hard you win or how hard you lose, you deal, or you well, I guess you don't deal damage. Your ghost would deal damage because this is asynchronous, as I've already explained. That's how we don't have a queue time here, and how we don't have a turn time. It's purely based off other people's boards they had earlier on, and then the game saves those boards for you to fight against. We pick up that little bamboo brush. That one's pretty fun, where when that dies, it respawns as a small bamboo, and then that one respawns as smaller bamboo. So our whole defense is not so much about let's just put a lot of big chunky units in the front. It's about let's have a lot of little stuff that the opponent has to then kill one by one. Now that big purple rocket that you see in the opponent's backline, that sort of gets around it because that's AoE damage. So you see every time it hits, it's like a clunk, a chunk of things dying. Now it hits pretty slowly, so we got that going for us. But that would be the counter to, you can see how everything just died in one go there. So that would be the counter to what we're doing. But if people don't have AoE, like we just have these little things that it just takes forever for the opponent to get through. So that's really our strategy. Our strategy is buff the tree like crazy, put a lot of little things, like a lot of little trees and shrubs and mines and all that in the way, so that it takes a long time for the opponent to get to our tree, and by the time they do, we've already killed all their stuff. So, because the tree does ramp up damage as well, the longer the fight goes on. That little mirror thing I bought that's near the front of the island, that is a oh, and this Val Totem as well, they reflect damage, which is something that I think is interesting, but you need enough of it for it to do something, because you want the reflectors to actually kill weapons on their own, but they only reflect like 20 or 35% of the damage dealt, so you're not really going to kill weapons with just one. But this is where I realized, oh, if I just put a bunch of reflectors there, one of the weapons that my opponent has on their island is going to take enough damage that it ends up dying. And then I also realized, oh, that's kind of a good counter to my tree, because my tree will then take damage, and its damage is based off the health. You can see it taking damage here because the opponent did have some reflectors. Luckily, we have a lot of healing and health buffing next to it, so the tree's not dying, and then it slowly regains its damage as it gets buffed from these trees dying and the mushroom mender and all that. You can also see at the top left of the tree that we have 3 of those little green crystals now. That's because we are just, you know, picking them up whenever we can. It's plus 30 starting health, so it's like it's pretty fun. Oh, here I get the enchantment that the tree will accelerate over time. So you can see there I have 3 accelerates. So the longer the fight goes on, the faster the tree is going to hit, which is obviously great. Here we pick up another one of those dandelions where it's all about more trees on the board, more little garbage that our opponent has to chew through before they get to our backline. Do a little bit of repositioning here. That is obviously the fun with these kind of games, where you're constantly thinking, okay, where's this gonna go, where's that gonna go? So here I could pick up another Val Totem, but I realize I actually do not have a lot of weapons, and the weather machine is an AoE weapon that deals damage based off how many Tinker and Magic units you have. Now I don't have that many. It's going to deal about 25 damage, but it's going to deal that to 3 things at the same time. So at 75 damage per shot, it's still competitive. It's still okay. Not insane, but okay. So that is a little bit of a counter as well. If our opponent has a lot of trees of their own, the weather machine can just deal AoE damage to try and chunk through that. Not the problem here though. The opponent is a lot of like very big chunky defense units, which is perfect for us because the tree is just going to DPS that down as it's getting stronger and stronger, because it's getting more and more health from the Scarlet Leech and all the tree buffing going on there. All right, so you can see them constantly generating these shrubs. It's a very fun run. As you guys know, I love value. I love that oil, right? So whenever I have a building here that says, ooh, every turn this makes another building, I'm just like, oh, that's nice. So the crystal core that I'm hovering here, it produces a crystal every turn, but I'm thinking I'm just going to add another Val Totem because I want to do this reflect strategy a little bit, where I try to kill one of my opponent's weapons by adding more reflectors to the board. The opponent also had a bit of a reflector at the front, but that's okay. Like I said, our tree is just getting healed. They have a huge tree here. I'm looking at what it does here. It's more of a town synergy thing, where every time a town unit procs health is gained. But it's a big defensive building, so it's getting chunked down. And you can see that our board just makes a lot of sense here. We are I wouldn't say we're like fully cruising, but we are still at the starting ranks here, because this has a whole ranked system where you can go all the way up to Archmage, and currently I think we're an apprentice, so we'll the boards will get more difficult if you fight players that are more experienced. But if you want to try it as well, very, very nice to ease into it, very fun. As you can see, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is just making sense, where you say, oh, you know, this thing gets buffed the more health we have, I'll just add some more health. This actually was a tough pick for me. I was like looking at a lot of synergy stuff, but I end up taking a crystal core because the crystal core can generate more of these green crystals, which is health, which is, you know, that's okay. So I take another one of these bricks for tankiness, and then of course every time you pick up one of these bigger buildings, you have to start renovating, where you're like, oh god, where do I put this now? Like, okay, well, good enough, there you go. But that is also the fun, right? It's like the tedious bit, but also the fun bit, where you have something that's so good that you want to buy it, but you're also like, now I have to move everything to fit that. But it's like wonderful fun, honestly. It's why you play these kind of games, right? Like these position games. You try to optimize it, try to squeeze the most value out of your units. But you can see that the fights are just like very, very chill for us now. It's because our forest spirit is just dealing so much damage. We just have a highly synergistic board already, which is very, very nice. The Scarlet Leech double triggering on the tree, and then so much buffs on the tree. Oh, this is a huge pickup, by the way. This materia chamber is exactly what I'm talking about when I say you pick something up and then you go, because this materia chamber has the effect that you can sacrifice things on the left to transfer 80% of the stats to the thing on the right. So now you see me just move, because we're going to do a big change on the board. This materia chamber is going to sacrifice high health units, and then it's going to give all that health to the tree, which is going to really take the run to the next level. This is where I realize, oh my god, I can actually be dealing so much damage. Because these bricks have a ton of health, right? So they have 250 starting health, and they gain another 25 health per different type of unit you have, which I have 18 of. So you can add all that up. So start of combat, those are going to proc. You're going to have a ton of health, and then the health is going to be transferred to the tree. So now I'm essentially moving my whole setup basically a bit to the right, where the bricks have to be to the left, then the materia chamber, and then the tree. And now I'm just basically redesigning this board for it to make sense. We got the trees are still next to the big tree. We got the altar. We still have our mushrooms next to the Scarlet Leech. But the thing I need to be careful of right now is by moving this, I need to make sure that the Scarlet Leech is still targeting the things I wanted to target. Because let's say that weather machine in the bottom, like if I put too many things next to it, the Scarlet Leech is going to start targeting that instead of all the nature stuff I wanted to kill. So you can see start of combat, those bricks instantly exploded, and the tree just gets a ton of health. So every time I check the damage now, it's going to be an absolute monster. Because yeah, look at that, it's not even close now. It's just straight up doing, you know, 4, 5, 6 times as much damage as my opponent's weapons, because it's dealing 400 damage every 90 seconds times 2. So we're dealing 800 damage per second, even a little bit more. That's pretty ridiculous. So these are just the enchantments that I'm putting on the totems. Oh, this is an interesting one, by the way. You cannot really sell the buildings that you have unless you roll one of those re-rolls in the shop. And you might say, oh, that's a little weird because I'm not used to that. And that is true. We're not used to that. But that is something that Ben, who is the the person that coded, right, the game, he very deliberately did that because he didn't want to encourage just meta builds where you constantly just roll for the thing you want and then you sell everything else. He said, well, this is going to be more about you have to play what you've been given, and you have to make the most out of it. And that's the true auto battler experience, instead of roll and then pivot and then switch into the perfect build. So that's essentially the logic behind it, and I can see it. You also have a big island, so even though you can't sell things you're getting super easily, it's still not that big of a deal, because most of the time you can just fit what you have. You just have to puzzle, as you can see. But obviously that's been designed that way, right? They tested the amount of squares and be like, okay, gotta make sure people don't run out of space. But very interesting choice to say, hey, we're going to deliberately try to hinder people to force meta builds. And really, you have to play what you're given and you have to be creative, which I'm very much a fan of. I think this is a lot of fun. We just picked up an interesting unit, by the way. I'll talk about it when we're in the shopping phase again. But it's a unit that forces one of the enemy weapons to attack one of its own. This guy has a lot of weapons, by the way. You don't really get a lot of weapons offered, so that's very lucky that he's able to get 5, because I only still have 3. So it's this little purple thing next to the weather machine in the bottom. That is every 9 seconds, it forces one of the enemy weapons to attack one of its own units instead. Now, that is a long time, 9 seconds, but these little power lines that I have in the bottom, they speed it up by 15% each, so that's a 30% increase, and then I've got some other small speed boosts as well. So it lines up to about like every, 5 seconds or so, one of the enemy weapons attacks its own, and that is, that's okay. Whew, man. Yeah, this board is just very, very smooth right now. So you can see that we're at 15 out of 16. So we're almost there. You can see here, yeah, every 5.85 seconds, so slightly slower than I had estimated. Yeah, it's been super solid. So now we're 16 out of 16. This is the final fight. You do get a bonus for winning more, but you just have to survive 16 to win the run. But assuming that you win more, so basically you have more health left, you get an extra MMR bonus. So it is definitely useful to win more. Oh, this is another speed up. All right, this is the speed up that I thought about. Okay, so maybe I check the speed again, and we're gonna get it down even more. But it's gonna be, ooh, yeah, I do a big move here because I'm afraid of the Scarlet Leech attacking the stuff in the bottom. Exactly what I talked about earlier, by the way. So I think now that that purple thing is gonna proc every like roughly, you know, 5 seconds, maybe 4.8. So this is the final board. We have the best. We see a lot of crystals, which means there's a lot of buffs. Oh, wait, I'm going to rewind that for a second. So this is where my mines are huge. So you can see these little things, these sonic mines in the front, they deal damage to every single unit on both my board and their board. And these crystals, they do not have a lot of health, right? These little red crystals in the back. These things are giga buffing his weapon right now. But you can see when these mines go off, they also trigger mines here, and it's just overall, it's just a good time. So basically just pay close attention to his crystals here in the back. Ready? Boom! So that's all his buffs gone in the back line immediately, which is really, really fun. Like because I don't really care about those. Like the green ones have more health, so they don't die to the mine the same way. So this was like a very fun run where we mainly leverage this tree and do a lot of nature stuff. We also have this little tactical like mines, and then the Altar of Decima is resummoning the mines, and that gets through the defenses earlier. We have the Scarlet Leech with the double trigger. So just a wonderful synergistic run, exactly in the spirit of how the game was meant to be played, I suppose. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. So if you guys did too, make sure to check it out. The link is in the pinned comment. And if you could be so kind as to wishlist the game, that would be wonderful. As I said, the devs, it's just basically 2 people, and I would very, very much appreciate your support. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.